we're watching another Max0r video today. We finished all the Elden Ring ones up to date. Oh god. Hi everyone! Welcome back to another Max0r reaction. Today we're reacting to the Bloodborne review. I love Souls games, as you know, and Bloodborne is definitely one that I really enjoy. So I'm really curious about how Max0r reviews Bloodborne. It's titled Bloodborne Review, Defeat Gods Doll Waifu Simulator. Alright, let's get to it.
The video has spoilers. Bloodborne is a Lovecraftian horror RPG that no one understands by definition, where the player is free to attack hordes of human children at will.
I love that it starts out by being like, oh yeah, Bloodborne is a game that just nobody understands, because genuinely when I played it, I had no idea what I was doing. I had to like go back and research after the fact to be like, what just happened?
And consume their innards. If that in-depth and engaging anti-baby gameplay appeals to you, keep listening because it gets worse. In this game, you play as John Bloodborne, a foreigner incapable of speech without the use of sign language, and stricken with Habsburg disease, comes to the ancient city of London, seeking treatment for the sins of his cousins. In doing so, he will begin hallucinating talking dolls, spider people, and the great Journeying further, John Bloodborne becomes conscripted into the service of a gay elder god and the 60-year-old man he keeps as a pet. And
oh my god. I'm choking, I'm dying. This is great, oh my god.
Given the ultimate task of killing an invisible infant in order to cure his anemia. To accomplish said Herculean task, the player must journey through dark forests, terrifying nightmares, and the meth-ridden alleyways of
yes, the nightmare of fisting giant pigs. How terrifying.
Post-Brexit Britain, slaying monsters, exploring, and tricking women into being impregnated by gods so you can consume the child. This game...
Hey, do you want to just, like, do the hanky-panky with an eldritch god for a moment so I can consume your child? Thanks, I appreciate it.
Is an excellent realization of a Metroidvania with something new around every corner. A great action RPG which pits you against insurmountable odds and extreme challenges, and has a gripping story and lore about discovering the eldritch truth. So, if you can, play it yourself because I'm not going to hold back on the details. It's no secret that my reviews are entertainment first, so I don't suggest using me as genuine advice. However, most people can't play this game, ever, because you have to buy a $400 magical box sold.
I literally, oh my god, I bought a PS4 just so I can play Bloodborne. Like, literally, I bought the console from, like, a marketplace because I was like, man, I really want to play Bloodborne, so I did it. And it was worth it. It was worth it. I have used my PS4 a whopping, I think, 2 times since. Just sits and collects stuff now because I'm a PC gamer, but Bloodborne was a sacrifice that had to be made.
By the wizard Sony in order to experience it, and even then you get to see it in an amazing 30 frames per second with no anti-aliasing. Port this game to PC, I beg of you.
We need the PC port, please! Oh my god, or at least revamp it to PS5 or something, please.
That a lot of people watching this video will basically never play the game, but keep watching because I'm hilarious and original. Do that, and I can give you the full, unfiltered, uncensored, unsubstantiated, and unsportsmanlike experience that is Bloodborne.
Such a good game, man. Oh my god. The basics.
The gameplay is what makes this game great, and the easiest way to describe it is simple but complicated. On a simple level, your baby brain is responsible for only 2 tasks, dodging and hitting. And dodging in this game renders you temporarily invincible. Sounds easy, right? Wrong. Because every single enemy is adjusted to keep pace with you. Basic enemies are basically able to whoop your ass into fucking non-existence. Every encounter therefore is tense and engaging. When you kill someone, it's because you were faster and had more meth than they did. On a complicated level, you have
my drugs are better. Get a better plug, bro.
A gun, and normally bullets hurt people, but in London, bullets are a suggestion, like the Geneva Convention.
Oh my god, but in London, the gun doesn't do damage. That's why we use our knives.
In England, it's all about the knife bins. Except when you shoot somebody mid-attack, you gain the mystical and arcane ability to plunge your fist through their ribcage like Mortal Kombat, and rip out their heart, which is considered rude and a slight annoyance. This extends to behind them if you charge an attack, which sometimes causes you to reach up a pig's asshole and rip out the prostate like fruit by the foot. Side note, the most optimal farming route for currency in this game is called Murgo's Pig Fisting Route. See, I changed the webpage. And in this route, you sneak up behind this guy and do him the dirty. Then entice these 2 swinular bastards to be mauled to death by members of Organization 13. Repeat 50 times. On a
Or you could just get the cum dungeon, right?
Cater level. Every single weapon in the game has two.
Or I've never fisted a pig before, okay? I just prefer cum dungeon.
Different modes with 2 different movesets, and transforming between them gives you special attacks in addition to running attacks, plunging attacks, On a theoretical physicist level, your character memorizes squiggly lines and fridge art created by gods for passive bonuses that work regardless of weaponry. My favorites are more money, and more money. They say
more money.
On a meta-theoretical chiropractic level, every weapon is
chiropractic level. Yes, bone cracking in my Souls game.
With different gem slots, they give differing effects for your attacks. And there are different types that can literally change all of the stats of the weapon, like making a fucking spear do more damage based off of intelligence. There's definitely more and a lot of strategy in how you level up your character, but I assume that you know how to level up in a fucking video game. But with all this combat prowess, you may be—
I'm not gonna lie, the very first time I ever touched a Souls game, I didn't know that you needed to level up. So I got partway through Dark Souls 3. I got to about Crystal Sage, and I was like level 1 because I kept losing my souls and I didn't know I needed to go grab them, and I didn't know I need to level up. And then I quit because I was like, this game is too hard. And then fast forward, I'm now addicted to Souls games and I'm a speedrunner. But my first time was a little bit rough, to say the least.
Wondering, Max0r, who are these crusty abominations that you're fighting on screen? Well, to learn that much, we're going to have to delve into the lore. So buckle your britches, bitches, because this shit is wild. If I say something questionable, just—
I should have expected to hear fucking Mikelash's moaning in this video, but that caught me off guard. I just heard this man moan right up in my shit. Oh my god.
Accept it as fact. I can be trusted. 60 years ago, 20 rowdy college students took their education extremely seriously because they found woman Cthulhu. She was just in a portable toilet downstairs. Also, because they were bored, they beat to death a god of the sea with some bats, but that's a story for later. It turns out the entire world is ruled and created by a race of elder gods beyond human comprehension called the Great Ones. Figuring this out, they got Cthulhu's blood and were like, we can make a religion out of this. Because
all hail the blood.
Turns out the blood can heal people, which is really good due to all the knife crime. So everyone starts drinking it a little too much and they get the money to build 36 cathedrals, but
they're like, yeah, I'm a vampire now.
It turns out eventually the blood turns you into a werewolf. So the church hires a guy named German to go fight the beasts with a—
German? Oh my god.
Organization known as the Hunters, but there's too many beasts, so he gives up. Now the knife crime is increased even more, and German sort of goes insane and creates a life-size doll of one of his students who is an 8-foot-tall Amazonian. He also canonically has sex with it. The moon god, for some reason—
Huh? Does he actually have— what? Ain't no way, bro.
Kind of takes notice of this and is like, all right, listen, I'm building a suicide squad. I will bring your waifu to laifu if you serve me for all time as my slave. German—
I know that he likes Lady Maria, but he does the ping pong with the doll? Man, he must be really lonely in that dream. Holy.
Reasonably thinks that this is a great deal and is imprisoned in a dream. This is where you come in. See, the moon god assassinates baby gods for fun, but needs a hitman to go into the real world to do it since he's confined to the 9th dimension. So in addition to fighting all manner of giant beasts and uncovering dark secrets, the true aim of this game is to commit infanticide. There's enough bullshit here to fill tax legislation, so comment your own poorly summarized Bloodborne lore below. And for the rest of us non-shills, we have ample time to explain more of what makes this game great.
I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea what I was doing in the game when I played it. I was like, okay, cool. There's people are turning into monsters, sick. And then I'm like, wait, there's fucking tentacles? What is this? Is it a hentai? What kind of game is this? I had to watch like an entire like lore summary after to know what was going on. And honestly, now that I kind of know what's going on, Max0r's not wrong. That is literally the story of the game. It's so great.
Yes,
prepare to die.
I am talking about bosses before I talk about the levels. In most video games, bosses cap off areas, but in Bloodborne, areas are preambles to a dick flattening, and nothing will challenge your skill in quite the same way. Except for the goddamn Witches of Hemwick, who were placed into the game for disability access. You can probably tell that Bloodborne is a hard game. We don't even know if a games journalist can beat it, but it's hard in a fair way that—
Wait, did a journalist literally say I didn't finish the game? It was too hard. Bloodborne is really, really hard. Bloodborne is the most difficult game I've ever played. Finally started playing Bloodborne and my body was not. Bloodborne, the Old Huntress is too hard for me, and that's okay.
Journalists can beat it, but it's hard in a fair way that tests your skills and reaction time, except for Lawrence, but I'll get back to Lawrence later.
Except for Lawrence, and Lawrence is just stinky.
What sets this game's bosses apart is that the challenge makes it feel like you're a really small dude jabbing a toothpick into a building-sized deer demon. So yeah, I would be impressed if he killed that. But not only that, unlike Dark Souls, every single boss reacts meaningfully to how you attack them.
It was poor Siffy. Siffy, my boy.
beasts can have their bones cracked and their tendons wound into a slinky. Bone boys can be knocked over and have their marrow sipped. And human enemies will wince and recoil when they see your height difference. As well, every boss punishes you for cowardice and actively discourages backpedaling with their forward momentum, causing every fight to be an elaborate dance with a thrilling back and forth. Unless you're fighting Rom, who is the really hungry caterpillar if you had a legion of arachnid slaves who threw their heads underground like ostriches. We don't—
My god, the Rom fight, I'm not gonna lie, is definitely... It's like Deacons of the Deep, but like, you're getting fucking head smashed all the time.
Talk about him. And while we're on the subject of bad bosses, this motherfucker, let me tell you something.
Yeah,
the humanoid bosses in this game are paradoxically the most dangerous. But Mikolash is a psychological hazard that will hurt you personally. This boss literally feels like cut content because the fight centers around chasing him, and his direction depends on RNG, making him an actual speedrun killer. When you corner him, he uses one attack, and then you chase him again, where he gains the power to insta-kill you. God forbid.
Yeah, Mikolash's whole fight is chase the moaning man while he moans in your ear, and then he shoots tentacles at you. He's like, oh yeah, you hear me moaning and you're chasing me? All right, I'll share my tentacles with you. Pachow!
Forbid you're hit by it, because that's 10 minutes gone. Here's a tip. Save up 10 poison knives and steal from your family if you must. Then wait until he jumps down this hole, poison him repeatedly, and watch him spaz the fuck out until death. You will thank me. But as a
I've never seen that before, and now I really want to play Bloodborne just to poison him to death.
Result of everyone who isn't Miko shit, conquering a boss in this game is absolutely rewarding on a level that other games cannot match. It's only because the odds are stacked against you in ways that don't feel bullshit most of the time that conquering them is the main reason I play, and their fights are undoubtedly the best I've ever done in video games. But that isn't most of the time in the game. In fact, a lot of your time is spent exploring the areas, so let's get into that. Lesson 1 in area design.
The areas are really cool.
Exploration is the name of the game, except it's called Bloodborne. Only this time, you don't bring smallpox and kill 20 million people. We're looking at a solid 10 this time, because the main enemies in this game are British townspeople. It's how the developers made sure you didn't feel bad about killing them. The plague of beasts infecting London causes people's teeth to become beast-like, makes you aggressive at night, and slurs your speech. So it's up to you to stop them, as a hunter should. If you don't look up where to go next in this game, good fucking luck. People get lost all the time. Get used to it. This game doesn't do exploration like, oh look, there's loot in this hallway, my dopamine's gonna go crazy. That's baby shit. This is daddy's exploration, where you find a route back to a place you were in 10 hours ago. And I hope you weren't expecting it.
Yeah. Settle down, young one. This is daddy's game. Yeah, your brain goes burr over loot. My brain goes burr with a shortcut so I don't lose my sanity whenever I die every 2 steps.
Mini-map, or any map. Every single hallway is a rabbit hole of discovery, and your hand isn't held. Case in point, Cathedral Ward is a level, but feels like a hub area because it connects to fucking everything. And where you start the game is in the middle of a loop-de-loop involving torturous experimentation. Just look at the fucking map of this game. Everything overlaps. And yes, there is a level called Nightmare Lecture Hall, and no, it does not connect to the Altar of Despair, although you would think that. Fittingly, the Lecture Hall is the smallest area, and more fittingly, 90% of the combat is graduates throwing cum at you. The game also has 2 complete...
Listen. They have a hard time with exams, okay? They gotta let off steam somehow.
Completely secret areas that you would not find without the internet. I would tell you how to enter, but I don't want to do calculus. And what you get at the end? Upper Cathedral Ward is legitimately a horror area in a game loved for its combat, because it's filled with enemies who act out my greatest fears. Stealing currency permanently gives me fucking chills every time I talk about it.
And fucking sucking you off, dude. It's terrifying.
Castle Canehurst is proof that From Software hates us all, since the best area in the entire game requires you to go to the Field of Corn in Ohio and trek down Waldo. But it's worth it to invade the house of that parasitic queen dwelling in her demented castle, so that she may feel the wrath of the proletariat. All we have to do is kill Prince Philip, who guards the way as an eternal lich. On top of this,
oh my god.
there are numerous NPCs and NPC quest lines spread throughout the world, all with a series of interactions with each other depending on location and timing. For instance, you could direct nuns, prostitutes, and Prince Philip to a church run by a lonely black sludge, then perform enough blood transfusions to send the nun into a yandere rage. Or you could direct them to the nice woman who runs the clinic down the street, who only wants to help and assist others. Then take a strange path through the forest and into her clinic to discover that she has been experimenting on all of them in order to create the Blue Man group. And if you want, you can take the umbilical umbilical cord away from her schizophrenic ass and eat it. The sky's the limit in Bloodborne quest lines.
Fucking eat the baby in a sandwich. I've never actually done any of the quest lines in Bloodborne. Every time I do, like, my first playthroughs of games, I forget that the quest exists in, like, FromSoft games specifically, because they are very much about you have to make sure that you have this interaction at this place and this interaction at this place before you do this thing, because if you do this one thing, it'll completely cut you off from all the quests. So whenever I do, like, blind playthroughs of FromSoft games for the first time, I always end up missing quests. So I kind of want to actually go back and replay Bloodborne and actually try to do all the quests, because they do seem really, really cool.
And you know what my favorite quest line is? The one where you descend into literal hell, complete with eternal punishment, insanity, and femboy fishing, the scariest of them all. I'm, of course, talking about the DLC, the only DLC for this game. And if you play through Bloodborne, you have to play through the DLC. I'm not giving you a fucking choice.
Honestly, yes. If you play through Bloodborne, you have to do DLC. If you're not doing DLCs when you play FromSoft games, like if you're like, nah, you know what, I'm only playing base game, you are doing yourself a disservice. Play the DLCs. They're so good. And that's why I'm so excited for Elden Ring DLC. Oh my god.
So to learn why you should play the best expansion ever made since Spore Galactic Adventures, come with me on this amazing journey to find the secrets of the Bloodborne, the Old Hunters.
Part 3, The Old Hunters.
I want you to imagine hell. Now imagine hell written by H.P. Lovecraft. It will be filled with squids, immigrants, and air conditioning. This DLC has none of that except the squids. For you see, those college kids from the lore section of the video were built fucking different. They experimented on an entire village and possibly beat up a god of the sea so fucking bad that her consciousness in the 9th dimension died. We spent an entire game killing an infant and these guys somehow killed the MILF god. But anyways, in the process of this, it cursed them and all of the hunters to be doomed to a hell upon death, where they will hunt in a bloodthirsty rage without rest for all eternity, indistinguishable from
there is only war. There is no rest in death, only war.
Political subreddit. Case in point, this is Ludwig. He's the first boss of the DLC and has a reputation for causing refunds. Not
yo, dude, Ludwig? Is this Ludwig when he retires from YouTube? That's crazy.
Because he's bad, but because he's too good for you. The first phase is as difficult for me as realizing that Golden Corral is not actually a real corral. But like every restaurant except Golden Corral, the rewards at the end are delicious because his second phase is even harder. Now, I'm not going to lie, this DLC has 4 bosses and 3 of the hardest bosses I have ever fought in any video game ever. So, your ass will be clenched the entire time, and the fact that he's the 3rd hardest is fucking concerning. Some people tell me, Max0r, your videos have gotten me through tough times because they made me laugh. But like this boss, you are the one who is truly overcoming these challenges, and I believe in your ability to beat both of them. King. Boss Lightning Round.
You got this,
the
King.
DLC has many such cases of amazing bosses, including Lady Maria, who is the basis for German's extremely creepy 8-foot-tall doll fetish, but we'll get back to that. And Orphan of Cause, who was born from the literal dead body of a god. If you enjoy the sensation of being beaten to death with a sharpened placenta, this is the fight for you. And as with
I used to think that Orphan of Cause was beating you with a shrimp. I thought for the longest time when I was fighting him that he was beating you with a shrimp because it looks like a shrimp, but it's placenta!
Enjoy the sensation of being beaten to death with a sharpened placenta. This is the fight for you. And as with everything that From Software makes, they threw in a boss that they didn't really finish and called it a day. I'm of course talking about Lawrence, which is a very mundane name for a fire monster locked in hell. Take my advice, don't fight Lawrence, you only lose a part of yourself.
Lawrence, honestly, okay, I don't know if this is a hot take or not. It might be a hot take. Lawrence is like one of the pinnacle figures in the Bloodborne lore. He pretty much was like, hey, by the way, I think that we should all consume blood. And other guy was like, no, we need eyes. And he's like, well, sorry, homie. I'm leaving the college and I'm gonna go start my own fucking gang over here. And like, I get that he's a beast because he consumed the blood, and like, when you consume the blood, you turn into a beast. But he's just a reskin of the cleric beast, but with lava. I don't know, like, I get it why they did it, but also like, because he's such a pinnacle figure to the lore, I was kind of hoping for something like, I guess more intricate maybe, more like unique possibly. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but that was my thought.
Since this boss fights you by dropping off his own legs and then violently vomiting and
but the lava is so annoying.
I've always wanted my game
I hate it so much.
And elaborate fencing to be reduced to shitty area denial like it's Team Fortress 2. To wrap things up, the music of this game is pretty good, but the DLC music is fucking insane. I don't know what it is about
honestly, FromSoft soundtracks go so hard, dude. They're so good.
These composers being able to make better symphonies than the continent that invented them, but just take a listen.
Holy shit, I am alive right now.
Have you ever thought, as I do, that this game
so
is just
good.
too good, that you would really rather be playing a shittier version of the game, such as the engagement of the Chalice dungeons? I, of course, jest. They're fine, probably, except for half of them, because Bloodborne has an optional system of infinite dungeon generation for all of those who wish to break free of the shackles of good level design. Let's talk about how, and more importantly, why.
Oh yeah, I never did too many Chalice dungeons. I went to the Cum dungeon just so I can get heals, because if you didn't know, in Bloodborne you don't have regenerative heals. You have to buy them or farm them. I got tired of farming them, so I just went in the Cum dungeon. But I never did too many of the Chalice dungeons, but apparently there's like a really cool boss at the end. I can't remember off the top of my head what it is, but it's a really cool boss apparently.
First of all, Bloodborne has a system of dungeons that everyone shares and dungeons that are random. For my footage, I played the shared dungeons that you can be guaranteed the pain you witness on screen is mandatory. One of the biggest strengths of Bloodborne is the ability to have interesting and challenging enemy encounters gently rubbed with the blood-stained hands of Miyazaki, but I don't think I have to explain to you how randomizing almost every encounter in the game could be imbalanced. But fortunately, most enemies you encounter in the Chalice dungeons are new to spare British people your wrath, so you instead fight SCP-96. But why are we here? It turns out that the entire city of
Sen's Fortress jump scare.
London was built on a Celtic burial ground, an ancient civilization called the Sumerians who discovered the healing powers of blood and then mysteriously disappeared. Wow, I wonder what happened.
I do like the
this
lore
is all
of them.
cool in theory, but the reality is that most of the time you fight the same 4 enemies, and the first 3 dungeons can be replaced by Simon Says. My cat literally wouldn't notice. The Chalice dungeons are so forgotten that the developers use them to put joke enemies into the game. My favorite is the man who aggressively rolls at you, stark naked, wearing only his Nikes.
Look
the
at his
uniqueness
butt.
also extends to the bosses, and they're actually pretty cool, like Tumerian Descendant, Watchdog, and the 3 overweight men. Do you remember that basic enemy from like 2 levels? He is the boss now. Rom, he is the boss again. The only thing stopping me from throwing myself into a wood chipper is the fact that Miklash isn't back. And if you're going to have replays, you probably want to make sure that they're actually good. In fact, the bosses are so fucking imbalanced that the Watchdog fight is primarily comprised of instant kill attacks. I beat Sekiro backwards on a keyboard, and this shit is too fucking much. Now,
what happened to his eyes? Shinobi!
Normally that would be all, but the dungeons go deeper. What we have discussed so far is merely the surface, and there is a much darker syndicate lying just below. These places you must never venture, for they are the save edit dungeons, whereby through wizardry, the community are able to conjure up deep dark chasms and share them with the rest of the world. Of these secrets, there are only 2 that I shall reveal to you, and the first is the Cum dungeon. Yes, you heard that correctly and clearly. The Cum dungeon is the name of the most optimal farming route ever conceived by the fucking cricket people who do this shit, whereby the player enters the chasm of place name and watches as a high-level boss yeets itself off a cliff. Murgo's pig fisting route can give you 10,000 echoes. This gives 83,000. And if you thought that that sorcery was bad, it gets much worse. You can
There's a better one?
Insert anything from the game files by save editing a Chalice dungeon. Anything. This includes cut and unfinished content from the game that the developers forgot to delete, like this doggo who attacks you with invisible lightning. Overall, the Chalice dungeons are bad.
Cool.
They're
oh my
not
god,
actually
I didn't know
very
that.
fun to play, and yet I love them. Everyone loves them because they allow us to further explore a long-dead game with the help of a passionate community. Now, before we sign off, I know what you're thinking. Max0r, what about the multiplayer? That I would love to talk about with all the footage I have, but it's dead. If this game releases on PC, and it better, then I will talk about the multiplayer extensively. And finally, this game and this video would not be complete if I didn't talk about the Hunter's Dream. After all the combat, the battles, and the difficulty of this game, it's nice to have a place to recharge, purchase items, upgrade weapons, and watch as it violently burns to the ground. This is where you'll find German slowly wasting away as his soul remains captive for an eternity, and his doll waifu that he sold his existence to be with. She talks to you, levels you up, offers you advice.
Honestly, I probably would do that too. Like between Maria doll and Ronnie, yeah, probably.
And German says you're allowed to have sex with her. When I
accept I might probably maybe wouldn't do that. Wait, what does it actually say in the dialogue?
Offers you advice, and German says you're allowed to have sex with
even the doll. Oh my god, he fucking does say that. I I thought he meant I can use the doll for leveling. I didn't think he meant, oh my god, it went over my head.
When I fell down and felt defeated, she was there to pick me up. When I emoted at her randomly, she pretended to be impressed. And she was there, graciously standing in the background of this one shot that I took of myself. She is our waifu now, and the game is perfect and complete because she is in it. Now excuse me as I engage in the supplementary lore material. Should you get the game...
Sorry, where can I find that supplementary lore material? Just asking for a friend.
Yes, absolutely. I am biased. In fact, you should physically enter Sony's headquarters and demand that it be ported to PC. I will be right there with you. Tasers.
Give it on PC or else, Sony. Please. I'm desperate and I need Bloodborne on PC. I need more Bloodborne. I need more Bloodborne, please. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please go check out my Twitch and my Twitter and all my other links down below. Thank you guys so much. Subscribe if you haven't. Click that like button. Do all the things, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!